Hi, my name is Donald Clem.
My name's Elena Figliola.
Hi, my name is Justin Beauclair.
My name is Sam.
My name is Elaine Clem.
Brenda Arnold.
I'm Steve Arnold.
My name is Julie Moon, and I have been tattooing now for 26 years.
My name is Brian Beckwith. I'm a tattoo artist at Inflicted Ink Tattoo.
I was 18 years old, and it was the eagle. And I figured I would get a very non-offensive tattoo. That way, Grandma and Mom wouldn't freak out, which they did anyway. So after that, it was a free-for-all.
I walked into Electric Ink and I showed the owner the design I wanted, and he handed it to Scott and said, "Can you do it?" Because I wanted it really small. And Scott said, "Yeah."
I hadn't really anticipated getting one until we got there, and then I got one.
First tattoo was not done by Scott, and that one's gone now. It's already covered up. But my first tattoo by Scott, if you can even see it, was this piece right here, which to me represents a Celtic god, Cernunnos.
First tattoo I got in Florida. I must have been 35 years old. And I remember the guy, his name was Sailor Bill, and he had an old bloodhound or whatever dog hanging around the shop, and we went in and I got a little rose on my shoulder. And of course everybody when I came home thought it was terrible for me to do that. My mother-in-law kept telling me, "Shame on you, shame on you." But that was the first one.
My very first client was my very first ex-husband. Oh, talk about trust. Now that was trust, because after we had split up, he had agreed to buy me my first set of equipment and be my first guinea pig, so I am forever grateful to the gentleman.
I didn't really get another tattoo for probably, I'd say 10 years. And then it was a really tiny heart, that little heart right there.
About 19 years till I was 19 to get my first tattoo. We had met Scott, and I came and talked to him because I was real nervous about, you know, getting the needle and all that stuff. And I said, you know, how does it feel? And he was like, well, he said, take a blowtorch. He said, heat a razor up and shave with it and tell me how it feels. He said, it's probably about how it's going to feel. It's going to hurt.
I was 26 when I had my first tattoo done. I had a little Pegasus with wings, scared to death, and it was quite a few more years after that before I'd have another one.
Let me get radical and let me go get a tattoo. Donald had one, and we almost got a divorce over it because he kept telling me he was going, and I told him, no, you better not. And then here I am going ahead and getting one. So
My first tattoo was done at a place in Deep River, Connecticut, which almost caused me to get divorced. And it was a tiger on my right arm, which has been covered up since. And it was sort of a bad experience because I had to rush there from third shift at work, and then when I got home, my wife was very upset with me, so she left. So needless to say, it wasn't the best experience.
I think when I chose the rose, it was just something that it seemed like everybody back then had. Of course, now things have changed so much that most people, you know, years ago used to just get a little tiny rose and not a big deal, you know, just for the fun of having one. And but over the years, it's become more than just that. There's meaning behind a lot of the tattoos that I have.
Couple, I'd say maybe a year later, I got the Wizard.
Pinhead from Hellraiser, because I always liked the movies and I thought he looked cool and stuff like that. So Scott decided to, you know, where we're gonna put it and stuff like that. So I wanted it on my leg, and we got it all set up, and he started to torture me in the chair. He'd pick up his gun, and he'd start, you know, it starts making that noise when it starts up, and he'd set it down, and he'd start doing something else for a minute. He'd come back, and he's like, "You ready?" I said, "Yeah," holding on to the chair, and okay, hold on one second. He'd go do something else, and so he started up, and as soon as he started going, it really starts hurting the first couple minutes.
I think they all just thought it was, you know, it was an 18-year-old getting a tattoo and that I wouldn't get any more, and it was just a little one that I could cover up and I'd end up regretting it. That didn't happen.
I always wanted my father and my grandfather and my uncles had, you know, the Navy anchors on their arm, and basically that's, you know, I wanted to have one also.
And after that experience though, and after I seen it finished and seen, you know, how awesome it was, I had to go back and get more.
Started to realize that it's more of an addiction than anything else, and I just continued on, meeting different people, going to different shops.
You know, they're like Lay's potato chips. I say, I'm done. No more. I said it with Scott when he did my first fairy. I'm done. And then we started talking about my next fairy, and then we talked about the next one. And then we talked about adding Boone to my leg, and I had Scott's memorial done on my leg, and I said, I'm done. That's it, you know. And I have an appointment next Saturday to go have a back piece done with Dave. So it's, I don't know, maybe when I'm 70, it depends.
I do get some flack from some customers, you know. I'm still a taxi driver, but you know, you get the people that, you know, what'd you go and do that for? You know, and my usual response is, I don't know, I got drunk one night and I woke up and I was like this.
The relationship with a client, that's a key component part of doing extraordinary tattoo work, because it's always a collaborative effort. For myself, I feel that I act as a medium. I act as a translator on a psychic level, act as a translator of my client's thoughts and desires. And I use my efforts to put them into a visual sense on their skin.
He asked me what I liked, and in talking, once you sat down in the chair and you initially started a piece, I believe the first piece Scott did on me was, we did some fill work, I believe, and you know, he just said, you know, you want some skulls? I says, yep. So we went ahead and we did some skulls, and I really liked it. And then, you know, afterwards we came out and we started talking. We started going over some of the flash that he had on the wall, and you know, I said, well, I like that piece, and he says, oh, you know, what piece would look good? And so then we started bouncing ideas back and forth, and
to trust somebody like that is very important, because tattoos are for life. You know, once you get it, you have it forever, and to be able to trust somebody to not even have a stencil on your leg and just tattoo away and come up with something, it takes a lot of trust, and I had that in Scott.
From having, you know, crappy tattoos, and then, you know, from people that just don't care and were out to make a dollar, then having Scott do them, which is, it was his passion and his love, and it's not only the work, but it's the, you know, the way they hold the needle, the way, you know, it's not a rush job. It's, you know, it's, I wanted Scott to do so much work, and it's just, you can't trust anyone. It's just, you go in and you see the pictures, and like I said, you just pick them apart. You say, well, this is wrong with it, or that's wrong with it, or I don't like how they do this, or I don't like how they do that. And to find someone else again is major, major, major. And if Dave leaves, or if something unfortunately happens to Dave, I'm done. I can't go through this again.
For me, my first tattoo that I got in New Hampshire, even though it was small and it was it was just black, so it was very plain. I didn't know a lot about these people beforehand, but I did my research when I made the appointment. I made the appointment for several weeks after I had gone up there, and I went through all their books, looked at their work, looked at the studio itself. Was I comfortable in it? I felt very comfortable, even though it was much different than what I'm accustomed to now. I was very comfortable in the studio, and they were very personable. And I kept giving them pictures and more pictures of the tattoo that I wanted, and they would draw it up. I'd say, no, that's not how I want it. Can you do this? The more you work with an artist, if they're willing to work with you, then they're the ones to go to. That's what I thought.
With Skott, it was always very personable, very personal to him, whoever he did work for. He wanted to make sure that I was comfortable, and of course that was easy for him because all he had to do was start joking and start, you know, but he was serious about his work. But on the other side, he was very, you know, making you feel really comfortable by, you know, just kind of talking, joking. You know, I know that sometimes his wife, who, you know, helped him in the shop, would kind of, you know, crack the whip a little bit and say, come on, Skott, we got other people waiting. But Skott really wanted to make you feel comfortable, and if he said he was going to do it, he didn't care how late it was going to be, because he would do what, you know, he said he would do.
We went with the elbow, which I wanted a skull on my elbow, and he quite surprised me because I pretty much just said, I just want a skull on my elbow, and he goes, how creative do you want me to get? And I said, run. And he did.